So I'm going to tell you what I think about cordless nail guns. I'm Ron Paulk, designer of the Paulk workbench and the Total Station. If you want to get yourself a set of workbench plans to build yourself one of these workbenches, click on the link right here in the video. Cordless nail guns. So this particular gun that I have here is the Cinco Fusion. It is a nail gun that will shoot the standard 15 gauge, 2.5 inch finish nail. It's the largest finish nail that I use. It's not used for a lot anymore. Mostly I use the 18 gauge and find that these hold well. A 2 inch very small head, very small head on the nail, and produces a much better look and easier to fill than the larger head on these. But I use these for hanging doors and also for occasionally when I'm doing big cornice work and I need a bigger nail, particularly in paint grade where we do fill, I'll use this size. So I've had a lot of cordless nail guns, tried a lot, purchased many different ones. I had in framing, I had the pass load gas gun, never liked it, sold it off, didn't get much use, just didn't work in my workflow. I did purchase a couple of the very similar Hitachi gas guns for framing, and had when I had a crew and we had multiple trailers and trucks, I had one in each. And it was great for when we were blocking up high, not for production work, but when we're climbing up a ladder and doing some blocking and things like that, and we're not looking for real fast nail. It worked pretty well. I sold those off when I thinned my crew down and got rid of my extra trucks and trailers and thinned down to my personal tool outfit. I just didn't feel that I would really need them. I always have air, and I like air for framing. So in finish, I purchased, Dewalt has a battery nail gun that shoots this exact nail, and brought it home, brought it to the shop, tested it out, tried it for a few days, and it basically had I think a cam or something, the battery, there was no gas, and it fired the nail. I didn't like how it set the nail. I just didn't like it. Didn't work. So for me, it didn't work. And so I picked up almost the identical gun made by Cinco, and I don't think they make it anymore. And it worked exactly the same way. I didn't get any better results. So I returned it. So both of those guns I purchased, tried them, returned them, and thought, battery cordless guns just aren't going to work for me. And then Cinco came out with a different concept. This is called the Fusion, and it uses a sealed chamber, and I think these have a very long life on them, probably as long as the gun's going to last, but I think they can be changed out. And then it uses a battery, and it's a Li-ion battery, 18 volt, and it is a pretty fast gun. Not having the air hose, I liked it. I like the gun, and so I use this gun for hanging doors. And the reason is, even though I have air, I keep my compressor in my trailer, the awesome rolling toolbox, and I have a 100-foot hose reel that I reel out, and it's on the job, so I can pull air very easily to any place. I like it way better than the little mini compressors. I've had about 6 of those, and I never cared for, you got to find a plug for them, and then you got the hose anyway. So I like a bigger compressor and just leave it in the trailer. So I always have air on the job. But hanging doors, I know you've done it, seen it done. You're on one side of the door with the door closed, getting the reveals right, so you've got the air hose kind of under the door and pulling in. And so I found that this is really convenient for that one job. Convenient enough that it's worth, in my view, the investment to have one of these. So the downside is I purchased this gun when it first came on the market. I saw it previewed and I liked the looks of it. Before I ever put my hands on it, I just liked what it looked like. So I ordered it. It took a while, but I got one of very first ones, and this is that gun. And I used it, hung a lot of doors, and I did have a couple of large, heavy crown jobs that I used it on at least a part of that. And I found that convenient. It's got a hook on it, and I was able to hang it on my nail bags. So it's a little bit heavy, but you know, hanging on my nail bags, I could feel it. I wear a vest with a bag, and it was hanging on there, and it does pull. But I did find it convenient. And then I went and grabbed it out one day, and it didn't work. The battery, I only had one battery, and never got around to buying the other because the battery lasted as much as I needed it to, so I didn't bother. And the battery was dead, this battery right here. And so I tried all kind of tricks to get it charging, and it didn't go from shorter life. It was just 100% to dead. And so something went wrong. And so I did a little looking around to get another battery and found out that they had came out with a new battery that has it looks identical. It's a 18 volt Li-ion battery, but it does have a different model number. This is VBO 118, and the new one is VBO 155. This also requires a different charger, so the charger that came with the gun wouldn't do this. Now, if you buy one of these guns today, you're going to get the new battery and the new charger. So I haven't purchased a new battery. I just put my gun on the shelf and thought, I'm just going to go back to using air. Air works. I like air, and not bother with it. But then a friend of mine picked up this gun for himself, and he's doing a job for me right now. And so this was actually yesterday. I saw this gun laying there with the battery, and I said, hey, are you using that? And he said, no, I don't need it right now. I said, I want to grab it and take it back to the shop. I want to see if my nail gun still works. I'm assuming it's the battery, but I have no way to test it. So anyway, this is his battery from his gun. So I put it on first thing. I charged it because it was already dead, but it's fully charged. And my gun works fine. So, you know, it's a great gun. It's got dial-in depth. It's got a tip guard on it, and stored in it, it's got another tip guard for different, you know, if you wear that one out, you know, and you can turn it off and on to save the battery. So it's a well-designed gun. I mean, it's a nice aluminum magazine. It's a nice piece, and it's fast. So I do recommend it. I like it. But I had gotten to the point where I wasn't even going to bother investing in another battery. I think I will. I'll probably get myself 2 of these batteries and a new charger. They have a kit like that. And keep this one, again, just solely for hanging doors. Now, a lot of people talk about they like cordless. I've looked into the other ones that are out there. Cinco makes a Fusion 18 gauge gun. And I use a lot more 18 gauge, and I thought that might be real handy when I'm running base and running crown. But when I look at the gun, it's not an angle, it's a straight up. It's the same size as this gun. Well, when I'm comparing a 2.5-inch nailer, even though this one's lighter and I just find it easier to move around, so I still prefer using this gun, but they are pretty close. But when I go to 18 gauge, the 18 gauge version of this is about this size. These are the 18 gauge guns that I use. There's a huge difference. So I'm not going to bother picking up the 18 gauge. I've got air on the job. I'm always going to have air on the job. These work. They're far less expensive, and they just work better. They're much lighter, and I can get them in at angles and in spots that a bigger gun this size would just be more of a hassle. Additionally, because they're so inexpensive, I pick up these refurbished from Big Sky Tool, and I get them for, you know, $30, $40, depending on the gun. So when I'm shooting 18 gauge, I'll have different lengths, and so I'll actually have multiple of these with different size nails. I don't even bother, you know, just changing the nail. They're so inexpensive. It's much more productive for me to have a couple of these there with different size nails rather than changing nails. And at the cost of these, you know, I'm not going to have a couple of these just to have a different size nail. I'm going to pop the nails out. And again, I'm not talking about the 2.5-inch 15 gauge. I'm talking about the 18 gauge version of this. And another reason that I'm not a big fan of cordless as a finish carpenter, there's a lot of guns, and they get really small, and they're inexpensive, and they do great work, specific work, so you can afford to have multiple guns. So I have, you know, 3 different small staplers here. I have a couple of larger staplers as well that I use, but I'm not going to get, these aren't available in a cordless version. And then when it comes to finish, I have a couple of 18 gauge, but I also use a lot of the 23 gauge, which is a newer nail that I'm finding a lot of great use for. It leaves such a small hole, it has no head on it. So if you think about it, as a finish carpenter, I have all of these wonderful tools that are inexpensive, that do great work and allow me to be more productive and do higher quality work, that there are no guns that compare to these in any kind of cordless version. So I'm not going to eliminate the compressor or the air hose. So again, my final conclusion is this particular gun I'll keep, but it's a luxury. If I could get a really good deal on it, I would maybe buy it. They were, when I bought mine, they were just under 400. I want to say 369. My friend that just bought this one, he picked it up at Lowe's on a closeout for 159 with the new battery, the charger, the bag. At 159, I'd grab it in a heartbeat. But again, I consider that a luxury. It's not a huge production tool. I only use it for hanging doors. Well, if you like these videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel. You can click on the link right here in the video. And also to like the videos and share them, help promote them a bit. And if you want to get yourself a set of workbench plans, click on the link right here in the video. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Have a great day.